Now, equally important in the development of a libertarian strategy then is the immediately following next question: who are the victims? Now, the standard libertarian answer to this is the taxpayers as opposed to the tax consumers. Yet while this is essentially correct, it is at best only part of the answer. And libertarians could learn something in this respect from the alt-right. Because apart from the narrowly economic aspect, there is also a wider cultural aspect that must be taken into account in identifying the victims. In order to expand and increase its power, the ruling elites have been conducting for many decades what Pat Buchanan has identified as a systematic culture war, aimed at the transvaluation of all values and the destruction of all natural, or if you will, organic social bonds and institutions such as families, communities, ethnic groups, and genealogically related nations, so as to create inherently an increasingly atomized populace whose only shared characteristic and unifying bond is its common existential dependency on the state. The first step in this direction, taken already more than half a century ago or even longer ago, was the introduction of public welfare and social security. Thereby, the underclass and the elderly were turned into state dependents, and the value and the importance of family and community was correspondingly diminished and weakened. More recently, further reaching steps in this direction have proliferated. A new victimology has been proclaimed and promoted. Women, and in particular single mothers, blacks, browns, Latinos, homosexuals, lesbians, bi, and transsexuals have been awarded victim status and accorded legal privileges through non-discrimination or affirmative action decrees. As well, most recently, such privileges have been expanded also to foreign national immigrants, whether legal or illegal, insofar as they fall into one of the just mentioned categories, or are members of non-Christian religions such as Islam, for instance. The result, not only has the earlier mentioned bad neighbor problem not been avoided or solved, but it has been systematically promoted and intensified instead. Cultural homogeneity has been destroyed, and the freedom of association and the voluntary physical segregation and separation of different people, communities, cultures, and traditions has been replaced by an all-pervasive system of forced social integration. Moreover, each mentioned victim group has thus been pitted against every other, and all of them have been pitted against white heterosexual Christian males, and in particular those married and with children, as the only remaining legally unprotected group of alleged victimizers. Hence, as a result of the transvaluation of all values promoted by the ruling elites, the world has been literally turned upside down. The institution of a family household with father, mother, and their children that has formed the basis of Western civilization as the freest, most industrious, ingenious, and all-around accomplished civilization known to mankind, that is the very institution and people that has done most good in human history, therefore done many bad things, that group has been officially stigmatized and vilified as the source of all social ills and made the most heavily disadvantaged, even persecuted group by the enemy elite's relentless policy of divide et impera.
White people, especially white conservative men, are under attack, like
Yes.
neither going north.
Now, accordingly, given the present constellation of affairs, then, any promising libertarian strategy must, very much as the alt-right has recognized, first and foremost be tailored and addressed to this group of the most severely victimized people. White married Christian couples with children, in particular if they belong also to the class of taxpayers, rather than tax consumers, and everyone most closely resembling or aspiring to this standard form of social order and organization can be realistically expected to be the most receptive audience for the libertarian message. Whereas the least support should be expected to come from the most highly protected groups, such as, for instance, single black Muslim mothers on welfare.